Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.
Hey Canucks fans, welcome to the Line Change Podcast. This video is a presentation of DraftKings, and this podcast is also a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Now, I wanted to do this video as we've got some updates and some new and more details that have come out regarding Quinn Hughes and that shocked the world, especially those here in Vancouver on Friday afternoon. Obviously, the Canucks were able to beat the New Jersey Devils yesterday 2-1, and all three of the players that we got from Minnesota actually played pretty well, specifically Zee Bouillon, who actually notched 2 points in that game and actually ended up scoring the game winner. But we're not going to be talking about the game, but more so details, as I said, that have since come out regarding the trade. We're going to go over a couple articles that talk about this, and we're also going to hear from Quinn himself following him playing for the Minnesota Wild yesterday, where he also picked up a point. He actually managed to score a goal. So first up, an article by our friends over at Canucks, specifically friend of the podcast, David Quadrelli. And in this article, he talks when the Canucks knew Quinn Hughes wasn't going to sign an extension. So let me just bring this up for you guys here. There we go. It says here, on Friday night, the Vancouver Canucks and Minnesota Wild linked up to execute one of the biggest trades the NHL has seen in years. The Canucks sent captain Quinn Hughes to the Wild in exchange for 20-year-old blue liner Zee Bouillon, Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, and the Wild's 2026 first-round pick. Hughes had been in trade rumors for the last week, with Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman reporting on Thursday night that trade talks involving Hughes were underway. Speculation around Hughes' future has been a heavy topic of conversation in Vancouver as the Canucks' captain was going to become extension eligible on July 1st. It appears now that the Canucks knew Hughes wasn't planning on sticking around long term. Shortly after the trade was made, TSN's Darren Dreger reported that the Canucks had, quote-unquote, known for a while that Hughes wasn't going to extend. And here is Darren Dreger's tweet. The Canucks have known for a while Hughes wasn't going to extend. Van believed their leverage was highest in December or January. New Jersey Devils were given a chance. Other teams in East had a chance. A week ago, Bill Guerin engaged and closed the deal. So there's that. So apparently the Vancouver Canucks knew that Quinn Hughes was not going to extend. And actually some more details have come out about that. And we're actually going to go over a quote from Elliot Friedman, who is reporting that Quinn Hughes supposedly told the Canucks or informed the Canucks that he wasn't going to extend right around American Thanksgiving. So let's take a look at this from Elliot Friedman, where he goes on to say, the best information I could get in the aftermath of this shocking trade, which Martin Geyer reminded me last night I never saw coming. That is that Hughes informed them, I believe, right before U.S. Thanksgiving, around that time, as the Canucks were losing. He was really having trouble dealing with it. And there's this second part to this. if you're a Canucks fan, you saw it. If you're a Canuck watcher, you saw it. He was really struggling with the losing, and it was right around that time before U.S. Thanksgiving that the Canucks were informed that he would not be signing an extension with them this summer, and that's when the Canucks really stepped things up. Now, that actually makes sense, as that was right around the time that the whole Quinn Hughes trade talk really started to gain its footing, at least that I saw anyway. And that's where talks really ramped up and people were speculating more and more and more. And I still don't really blame Quinn for wanting to leave. Although after, reading this and hearing that he had made his decision and he was kind of, still saying like, I'm still here, blah, 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 kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth or a sour taste in my mouth. But again, I'm not blaming Quinn for leaving. He wants to win, and you can't blame someone for leaving because they want to win. And more of this blame, I would say, goes on Rutherford and Allvin because they couldn't build or put good enough guys around him to give him that opportunity to win here in Vancouver, which is what he frickin' wanted. It's what he wanted. Now, let's take a look at another article, also from Canucks Army and written by Quads himself. And this is Quinn Hughes talking himself following the game in Minnesota. He kind of lays it all out on like what transpired, what happened, and it's very interesting to see. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Let me see here. Is this it? No. Oh. So that's one we just talked about. I think it's oh, here we go. Here's the exact quote from Quinn Hughes himself. So he goes on to say, it's been a whirlwind for sure, talking about the prior 48 hours. I'm just looking forward to getting my feet on the ground and getting with the team, getting a day-to-day lifestyle here. Definitely the last 48 hours have been a lot, but I was excited I was able to play today. And then he goes on and he's asked how involved he was in the trade process and ending up in Minnesota. And he goes on to say, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I have the ultimate respect for Jim Rutherford and Francesco Aquilini and the Aquilini family. I mean, they were first class with everything that was going on, and obviously it was a tough situation, but it felt like it was time, and I think Jim did too. But Jim and Pat Brizon, my agent, he was a beast. I'm very lucky to have him, but they were kind of talking a lot about places I might feel comfortable. And, Jim was amazing with that. He cared about the person. He wanted me to go where he thought I would be happy. And then Hughes would elaborate on talks that he had with the Canucks prior to the season, so like during the summer. And he goes on to say there was some talks a little bit this summer, and I love the guys there. And some of those guys are my best friends. You want to be successful, and so I came into the year open-minded and wanted to make it work, and obviously wanted to have a great year. But with the injuries and the direction it was going, it wasn't happening. And I think Jim knew where my head was at a little bit, and we got to talking, or Jim and Pat got to talking a couple weeks ago, and it kind of went from there. Hughes would also go on to say he had a pretty good idea that the Canucks' Thursday night game against the Buffalo Sabres would be his last game as a Canuck. Hughes was able to go for dinner in New York. The Canucks traveled on Friday morning for the game in New Jersey with his Canuck teammates and said his goodbyes before hopping on Wild owner Craig Leopold's private jet to head to Minnesota. And we have some continue from here. This is him talking about Vancouver and his time. He said, I had some great memories there and some really good friendships, so it was obviously tough, but I honestly couldn't be more excited for this chapter. As Hughes begins the next stage of his career, the new question on everyone's mind is whether he will indeed extend with the Wild, who paid a premium in trade assets to bring him in. This is Quinn's response to that, and he goes, I'm extremely open-minded. Hughes said when asked how open-minded he'd be to extending with Minnesota, they've got an amazing core. I've only been here for 4 hours, but getting to know some of the guys and how energetic and positive guys are, and then Minnesota being so close to Michigan and just the state of hockey and the passion here, just seeing how the fans reacted to me as well in warm-ups. Then obviously I got a lot of time for Billy, while GM Bill Guerin, for, quote unquote, sacking up and making the deal that like he did, and just how he valued me. There are other teams that probably could have thrown in certain packages like that too, but at the end of the day, they didn't want to do that, or they didn't want to trade 2 or 3 assets from their team as Billy did. And so I'll remember that. That means a lot to me that Billy did that. And then goes on to say, in return for their captain, talks about who the Canucks got, which we all know. But this is kind of crazy. That's not necessarily him talked about being open-minded to extending. I mean, obviously he was open-minded to extending with Vancouver, and then we suffered a bunch of injuries. We were losing, and honestly, this is a bit of a failure on Alvin and Rutherford. Again, they didn't really do much in the offseason. Sure, they re-signed Demko, they re-signed Garland, they re-signed Besser, but their big free agent signing, or not even a signing, their big, new player that they added was frickin' Evander Kane. And if you're not going to get out and surround Quinn Hughes with players to help you be competitive, which is something they were wanting to do in the summer, they wanted to be competitive, and they didn't frickin' do it. So I know there's some reports going out there saying that the Canucks may have known since a year ago that Quinn wanted out, or that Quinn wasn't going to resign. Some are even saying that it was, during the offseason that Quinn had maybe made up his mind, and that they were pretty certain Quinn wasn't going to extend, and Quinn simply reaffirmed those just prior to American Thanksgiving, when he informed them, supposedly informed them of his decision. But this just is, I feel as though this is a bit of a dagger into the hearts of Canuck fans, myself included. I'm actually wearing my Quinn Hughes jersey right now. But yeah, this absolutely sucks. And while I was shocked and kind of at a loss for words when the initial trade happened, and I did my 5-hour stream talking about it and kind of reminiscing, and my buddy Gerald even said, be happy for the time that we got to experience Quinn Hughes. That's still there, but I'll admit, seeing these comments and hearing more details about the trade really feels like a dagger. Like it, having been able to have time to think about this, having time to process it, really feels like Alvin and Rutherford, excuse my language, but fucked up big time. And, this trade is going to go down as one of the biggest fuck ups they've ever done. Like, they couldn't keep Quinn Hughes. You couldn't keep the best player / defenseman this franchise has ever fucking seen. And you were forced to trade him because you couldn't make him happy. Rutherford and Alvin, they say they did their best to keep him. What about Francesco Aquilini? Did they try and move heaven and earth to try and keep Quinn Hughes and keep him happy? Because it seems like Bill Guerin did exactly that. And it just feels like Rutherford and Alvin didn't even try. I mean, just think about it. They trade Bo Horvat, like not even 3 years ago. Trade Bo, and then a year ago they trade JT. I guess you could almost say they almost traded PD. It's like they were trying to blow up this core. And yes, I know PD wasn't playing to his potential, and that's another story. It has nothing to do with this. But the fact that they've lost Bo Horvat, JT Miller, and Quinn Hughes in less than 3 years is nuts. That blows my mind. And 2 of those were captains. So, yeah, that's just my kind of, having been able to process it, my thoughts, and also some more details revealed when it comes to the Quinn Hughes trade, some behind the scenes stuff. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. And I'd also like to give a quick shout out and thank you to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art. At least one of my sponsors, Gassy Jack Art, maker of this amazing artwork you see here. And I'd like to also thank my other sponsor, DraftKings.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, well, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's just for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager. Tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright of the NHL 2025, all rights reserved. All right. Now, once again, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about these new details that have been revealed, that have come out? Also, oops, our phone off. Let me know what you guys think of, the win the other night or the other morning, I should say, by the Canucks, and how do you the new players that we got? That's Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, and Liam Ogren. I know Rossi and Ogren didn't collect any points, but Buium collected the 2 points. Not to mention the Canucks actually won and actually defeated the New Jersey Devils, even though it wasn't technically the Hughes Bowl. If you wanted to, you could say that they won the Hughes Bowl, even though it was only literally Luke who was playing for the in the so-called Hughes Bowl. But yeah, once again, let me know what you guys think about these new details. Do these new details change your opinion on the trade? Does it make you possibly, maybe a little bit angry or more frustrated about the trade? Does it change your opinion of Quinn? And, I know some might say that he quit on the team. I don't think that. That's not what I think, but some people may think that. They may think, hey, Quinn didn't want to be here anymore. He was fed up and he chose to take his ball and leave. Some may think that. Again, I don't think that. I'm not mad at him for leaving. He had every right to go somewhere where he has a chance to win. These are the prime years of his career, and he spent 6.5 years with us, and we couldn't put a good enough team, or even put good enough players, surround him with good enough players, go on a extended run. Yes, we have that run from a couple of years ago where they made it to the second round, but Quinn made the playoffs with the Canucks only a handful of years? He should have been in the playoffs a year with the type of talent that he had. And honestly, this is a massive failure on Rutherford and Alvin. And this is probably to sting Canuck fan for a very long time. And we may not even see the return from this trade years from now, but already starting to look positive with, Buium and how he played yesterday. Same thing with Rossi and Ogren. I'm not too convinced about Ogren just yet, although it's being said that he's a lot like a JT Miller-esque player, as well as I forget who the other player that he was compared to. But yeah, he said he's a JT Miller-esque power forward. So that kind of, has me thinking a little positive about him. And obviously, you guys know, if you've been watching this channel, especially throughout the summer, I'm a huge, huge Marco Rossi guy. So obviously, I'm happy that we finally got him. I mean, I just hate that we got him at the cost of Quinn Hughes. That's not something that I expected. I was kind of hoping they would get him in the summer. We also recently did that video as part of the next report where we talked about, the Minnesota Wild, the fact that they offered Rossi on draft day for Atu Ratu, what ended up being Braden Coots, the 15th overall pick, and Artur Silovs, and the Canucks said no. So I guess the Minnesota Wild decided to try again. They knew about the Canucks in Marco Rossi. That's probably why they threw Rossi into the deal. Obviously, everyone's saying that the prized position, or the prized acquisition for the Canucks is Zeev Buium when it comes to, comparing him to Quinn Hughes. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about new details that have emerged regarding Quinn Hughes. What do you guys also think about seeing Quinn Hughes in a Minnesota Wild jersey? As you guys can tell by the thumbnail, I went and used his newest headshot in the thumbnail. But as painful as it was to see Quinn Hughes in a Minnesota Wild jersey, I can't help but admit he looked pretty good in a Wild jersey. I know that might upset some Canuck fans, but you have to admit those Minnesota Wild jerseys look absolutely beautiful, and it was weird seeing him, do his morning skate or his warm-up skate, a little GIF and / video on social media about it. It was weird. And then hearing him talk about, everything afterwards. But I'm rambling a little bit. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, you can hit that like button. And you can also smash that subscribe button and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss a single video. You can find and interact with us on social media. All our social medias are right there. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. And if you want to join the discussion, talk more about stuff like this, you can join our Discord. It's completely free to join. There's a link in the description down below. So go ahead and join, and we can have more discussions and chats. Also very similar to our 5-hour stream that we did talking about Quinn Hughes. We can have more discussions about that. We had some really good discussions with some Minnesota Wild fans. So go ahead and join our Discord. And if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us on either platform. It is, of course, greatly appreciated and really helps out the podcast. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, Campoli missed the puck. Ryan Johnson just gets it out. And Hughes dumped the puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrow shoots, scores!
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.